my language, someone who understands me, I think it's way easier for them also to come in and feel welcome as well.
Yeah, I had a big realization on that level. I had sponsored, 3 girls out of this orphanage, and the oldest one was the most ready one to she was also the first one to become a teacher, and she now runs her own studio in Phnom Penh, which is also a great thing. And we had gone to a visit a place where they had taken in street children in a different town in Siem Reap, and I had asked the director of this center was Australian, married to a Cambodian, and I asked the lady if she had ever had yoga in her place, and she said, yeah, we had some foreigners who were here, but the kids were not interested. So throughout the day, the children were playing and getting to know each other from the 2 communities, and all of a sudden the oldest one of our young people started showing yoga asanas to these girls who were about the same age, and they had so much fun.
So cool.
And they were laughing and they were falling all over the place, and they were like each other,
Yeah.
And I was watching this and I said, you know what? That's the key to it. You have someone who speaks their language, who is of the same culture.
Yeah.
And maybe even the same age group, and it will really help.
Yeah.
And for me to step into the background, so I'm not like the foreigner trying to
exactly totally
do. And see, one of the things that I've always tried to and it's beginning to sink in after many years, but it's beginning to sink in now that actually, because Cambodia is a Buddhist culture that has a lot of Hindu influence, actually, because many of the old kings were Hindu kings, that the whole practice and the philosophy is very, very close to tradition.
Yeah.
And so the practices of being able to stay serene, keep your peace of mind, not get violent or aggressive, it's already there in their meditation practice. It's just that the young people think it's only the old people who do that.
Yeah.
And then little by little, they start realizing that it's something that can be really of a huge support to move through whatever trauma they may have experienced. Generational trauma is huge. Country like that has had such a violent and vile genocide as Cambodia had.
Yeah.
And
because did you already have a connection with Cambodia before you decided to start AZAHAR there? Or did you already travel there, or did you have some kind of connection?
The connection was that I had a student in New York who actually was Swedish, who adopted a child in Cambodia.
Ah, wow. Okay.
And she knew that I had already done this project in Colombia and was interested in working in post-war settings. And so she said, you have to come to Cambodia.
Yeah.
So many children who are on the street in orphanages and things like that. So I said, yes, but I don't want to start with toddlers. I would like to start with teenagers or, a little bit older children who within some years or within a space of about 10 years can become leaders in their communities.
Amazing. Such a good vision also, I think. And do you feel like from that vision you have, are you happy where you are now with AZAHAR?
Well, yeah, I mean, again, I have done this sort of on the side in a way, because I've been so busy traveling the world, teaching Jivamukti Yoga. And I'm not really the type of person who is a CEO or something like that. I'm the founder, and I have the vision for what I'd like to do. We were very lucky in Cambodia to have the support of a young woman who was French Cambodian, grew up in France. Her parents were refugees also, and she was, taken out of the country when she was very young, when she was a baby. And she really wanted to go back to Cambodia and contribute to that society. And she stayed with us for 7 years. She's just now moved back to France. But because she had some level of business experience, she was able, and she also had a very good sense of both cultures, the more European centered culture and how we think over here, and donors and so forth, and how people think there. And she spoke the language. So she really was able to bring up the organization in a way that I could have never done from outside. And, she managed to, well, first I started this center that I told you about in Phnom Penh from the 2 British teachers that we took over. But she managed it then, and then we opened another center in Siem Reap, in the 2nd largest city in Cambodia, which is also the city adjacent to Angkor Wat. So it's a very tourist city. And we ended up getting a grant from Restaurants Without Borders, which is a French organization, to start a canteen for children who are, malnourished or have trouble feeding themselves every day. And so out of that came a restaurant that was also meant to support that program partially, because the grant was not unlimited, of course. And we started doing this outreach program called Free Food and Yoga, where young people from different NGOs could come. We actually worked mainly with one NGO, and they would come for a yoga class and then get a Cambodian tasting vegan meal.
Yeah. Oh man, I really would love. I remember us talking like, yeah, come there, and like you have to meet the chefs, and I was like, yeah, definitely. I'd love that to happen one day. Sounds so amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it was the Maho Boe, which means monk's food in Cambodian, is the food that how they describe vegetarian food, which essentially in Cambodia is vegan, because dairy products are really not part of their diet. It was the first vegan Cambodian restaurant.
Yeah.
High
vegan 5. Woo-hoo-hoo.
So unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we had to close the restaurant. That didn't work anymore. The free food and yoga, we also had to stop because the children were no longer going to school and no longer going to these NGOs with extracurricular activities. And we ended up also closing the center in Siem Reap now, because at least temporarily, because
that was actually my next question, like how much you've been affected by the pandemic. So this sounds like quite heavily, right? Like having to
very much so. I mean, as a yoga teacher, our profession was really just stomped into the ground. I mean, it's like you can't meet with people. You cannot assist people. Yes, of course, Zoom has saved a lot of our world, but so on Zoom, I mean, at least for me, I can't charge the same amount of money that I would charge for a class. Even if I have taught workshops or so over Zoom, there's always a lot less people, and it's a lot less that you can charge for a workshop like that. So economically, it's been very challenging, even for me, being in Europe, and the other thing that has really bothered me about all of this is the lack of visibility that we have. Actually, that's a big discussion in Switzerland right now. Is we're about to vote on a COVID law, and there's a lot of opposition to that law because I don't know all the details. I haven't studied all the details yet, but it seems like the government is always listening to the people with the biggest lobbies. So they're the ones who are getting the financial support. They're the ones who are opening, more quickly. And it's just very difficult to stand up to all of this when we're not organized in a lobby, and we have no visibility as a profession. And same thing for people who are in the performing arts, right?
Yeah. Because is AZAHAR, like, as I kind of how I get it, but I could be wrong, you are purely reliant on donations from people, right? You don't get any government support, like nothing else is supporting.
Well, at the moment, yes. I mean, we're reaching a level now where we have to start getting those types of government and foundation supports.
Yeah.
The problem is, again, is staff.
Yeah.
Do we have enough staff? I can't do all of this. It takes a lot of skill to do grant writing, and it takes a lot of time to do all of this. So it's a question of just going step by step. But mainly, I mean, it's been an incredible blessing. We've been supported mainly by yoga students and other yoga teachers, and fortunately there are a few in that population who have means to give larger donations, and that has kind of helped us keep afloat. But in Cambodia, because the model is first outreach, so expose young people to yoga and to the arts and to peace building methodologies, but then it's about professional training, right? And we still don't have. I'd like to have a school where young people can have professional training in all these disciplines. So right now the professional training is yoga teacher training. And we do a peace curriculum where young people get exposed to all these different disciplines. But
that's a 7-month program, isn't it?
The peace curriculum is a 7-month program with a 2 or 3 month internship where they go to the community, to a community of their choice or an organization of their choice, to do karma yoga. And those who are interested in doing yoga teacher training can then take a local teacher training. And once they've done this yoga teacher training that lasts about a year, they can then start teaching at our centers, right? And we have then been able to send 3 people from Cambodia, one person from Rwanda, one person from Ivory Coast, one person from Syria, and much earlier, one person from Colombia, and 2 people from Lebanon to Jivamukti Teacher Training. We've gotten support from individual donor and from Jivamukti Global itself to have this participation. So
Good.
that's then also
that was about time. Good.
It's a motivation, for these young people who've done the local teacher training. If they do really well and they're committed, they can do an international teacher training, and that's, of course, as a huge eye opener for them. And
amazing.
It's a huge opportunity because, in all of these countries, the salaries are so low and the currency is so devalued that unless you belong to the upper class,
there's no way you're going to get that opportunity.
No, you cannot get out of the country. I mean, you can't even pay for a plane ticket.
Yeah.
And you don't get visas to anywhere either. So it's like, it's a very complicated situation. So to have that type of an opportunity is great.
Yeah, that's really nice. Because do you still have, like, if you look at, so such an unfortunate thing, the things you were mentioning to me about, like, things you had to close down there and all that kind of stuff. Do you have hope right now for AZAHAR? Like, do you feel like things will start changing again in the next year or 2 years, or where are you at in your heart towards your vision?
Well, I mean, look, I've been using this year because I've been stationary this whole year. I've been using this year to reinforce my boards. I've been working on a new website to also allow us to do online activities. And we're working currently. We have received funding for a CEO, so we're searching for someone or soon we're going to be putting out the